surveillance state, and she is sounding the alarm about the dangers of techno-authoritarianism. British author and award-winning investigative journalist Carole Cadwalladr calls it the Broligarchy, and it's the title of her ongoing Substack series. She's joining Hari Srinivasan to discuss the Trump administration's decision to use the data analytics company Palantir Technologies.
Christian, thanks. Carole Cadwalladr, thanks so much for joining us. Most of our audience might remember that you are a Pulitzer Award-winning journalist who worked at The Guardian for decades, and now you launched a Substack, which is called How to Survive the Broligarchy. In your column, you write, the opaque and unaccountable Silicon Valley companies that facilitated both Brexit and Trump are now key players in an accelerating global axis of autocracy. I believe this is a new form and type of power that I'm committed to keep on exposing. So what is the Broligarchy?
It's the idea that we have this new class of oligarchs who've come out of Silicon Valley, and as we know, they're tech bros. So it's the idea of a tech bro oligarchy. And an oligarchy, we know it in the Russian sense, in that it's a group of businessmen who are able to make vast fortunes as long as they support Putin, as long as they don't dissent from the aims of the Russian government. And we can see that exact same relationship now in the USA, in that the tech companies very clearly are supporting and standing behind Trump, literally at the inauguration. And they are tech bros, hence tech bro oligarchy.
Yeah.
And the reason I say it's a kind of power that the world has never seen before is that these aren't just vast corporates making, some type of machines or cars or whatever. These are men who own global communication platforms, and those global communication platforms are now allied to the US government, which we can see quite clearly is acting in an authoritarian way and is making alliances with these autocracies around the world. And so for me, it is this very, very dangerous, centralized, far-reaching and extensive type of power that at the big level and also at the micro level in our own personal lives.
This past April, you did another TED Talk where you compared what's happened in Russia to what's happening now in the United States. You said, quote, the Russian and American presidents are now speaking the same words. They are telling the same lies. We are watching the collapse of the international order in real time, and this is just the start. So why do you call this a digital coup?
I think the thing which really triggered my sense of alarm was the first weekend that Trump came into office, and Doge, that first weekend, deliberately at the weekend, took access of the US Treasury. So they gained access to the building, and then they gained access to the databases. And that, I felt, it was just such a clue to what is going on, which is, I say this with Silicon Valley, it is always about the data. Like it's the crack cocaine. They can't get enough of it. They're addicted to it. They know that is where power and control lies. And what we have seen Doge do through this period is get access to all these different government departments. They've got access to all these different databases. And now we know from reporting in the New York Times that Palantir, which is this data analytics company that this guy, Peter Thiel, owns, is now being mandated to use its software to bring all these databases together. And Palantir, by the way, have denied this, but it's this, as it was set out in the New York Times reporting, it's this idea of creating a giant database of all American citizens. That database can also be combined with commercial data, with social media data, and that's a surveillance state. That's what it is. That's what China has, and it is clearly used in China to profile, to target, to surveil, and to suppress dissent. And I think people should be really, really worried about what this means to them as a country, but also at an individual level.